All right. I always start the stream with that. All right. Hey guys, we're here for another cast. Today, I'm back in Div 3, where I've been most of my casts so far actually this season. And we've got a really, really good one coming up here. We've got Team Tiny versus Randy Newman. Both teams new to Heroes Lounge, but not necessarily new overall to competitive. But so far, both teams have been doing very well, and in fact, if we take a look at the standings here, it's identical. Technically, because of the alphabet, we do have Team Tiny ahead, quote unquote, in the standings, sitting at number 3. But both of these teams, 5-1, only dropping one of their 6 matches so far this season, and 10-3 in map score. So, aside from that one loss, only dropping one map apiece. So this is, I expect a very close match between these two teams. I think it'll be a lot of fun. We've already got our map bans and a map picked even, so I'll go ahead and pull those up for you guys. If you look, so the coin flip decided Randy Newman was going to get the first pick for the first map, and as a result we would see Team Tiny picking the first map. So Team Tiny went ahead and banned out Sky Temple and Dragonshire, and Randy Newman responded by banning out Battlefield of Eternity and Garden of Terror, putting us here on Cursed Hollow for our first map. Which, for me, is really exciting, because I love Cursed Hollow. It's a macro-oriented map, which is what I really love to watch, as well as cast, because you do get the team fighting, but you can also see some really interesting other types of play. You can see some kind of cheesy play, even, which is something that, if you've watched Randy Newman, cheesy team name, all of the players, of course, having Randy Newman or some variation thereof as their name, they're a cheesy team. They love to play crazy stuff, and they do very well with it. So I would expect to see some bans against heroes like Samuro if we see Team Tiny having done their research, and otherwise we might see that kind of stuff come out and be played very effectively here. I know the other day Randy Newman actually played a comp, not on this map, but they played with Abathur, and Samuro, and Uther, as well as 2 DPS, I believe it was. So pretty much very little front line and not that much healing, and they took that map. They won against a team that was favored against them. So who knows what we're going to see coming out from them. Randy Newman, I think, would be the team to watch as far as some cheese and crazy strats goes. But that being said, they are equal in the standings to Team Tiny. So I expect for both of these teams to be able to perform very well during the match tonight. So let's see. Looking at our teams here, I believe we have everyone in the lobby, so we should hopefully be ready to get started pretty soon here. Alright, I believe I have all of the players correct on my setup here. Great. Looks like one team is ready. I'll go ahead and give them my R so they know that I am ready to start whenever they are. But yeah, I'm excited for this one. Excited to see who comes out on top, because this is going to decide who gets the lead in the standings, as these two have been neck and neck pretty much since the very beginning of this season. So definitely an exciting match for the evening here. Alright, just waiting on one of our teams to be ready, and then we can jump into our first lobby. Here on Cursed, like I said, we might see some cheesy stuff, or more macro-oriented heroes, such as Abathur, for example, is something I'd be watching for, but we also have to be aware we don't have the new patch where we have some health nerfs on Zool just yet, so he is still a very powerful force. Whether or not they decide to go for him here on this map, either team, we will see, as normally a lot of his value comes from his ability to double soak, which is a lot harder on this map. Granted, he is also terrifying in team fights, so might see him getting banned out regardless. So I would expect to see maybe something around there. Deathwing is always a question, whether or not someone is going to be in favor of it or be against it. You never really know. So we might see that let through and not picked up. We might see it banned. We might see it let through and then picked up, and who knows? Deathwing always is a Good question here. Looks like everyone's ready though, so we should hopefully be getting started here any moment into our first map here on Cursed Hollow. As I said, the coin flip was in favor of Randy Newman, so they're going to be able to select whatever, well, they have the first pick rather here, so they will be able to pick which hero they prefer, and we'll see how that changes the draft. Is we might have to see the side of Team Tiny. Do they want to ban out target bans like Samuro, for example, an Abathur, or are they going to have to leave some of those up to take out stuff like Deathwing and Zool, as they are in the second pick position currently? We'll go ahead and see any moment now. Got our first ban coming in for the side of Randy Newman. And I would say maybe just a ban that they're aware that Team Tiny is comfortable with. Nope, they're just going to get rid of Deathwing. They don't want to deal with it. He is a global, a bit slower global, but still a global nonetheless, which makes him impactful on this map. Zool instantly banned out from the side of Team Tiny. Understandably, he is pretty insane right now. And now we have the next ban, as we have Randy Newman saying, "Zool regret that." A nice nice pun there. Always love, I love when I get referee, just because I get to read the chat during the draft and see what people say. And we're gonna have Kael'thas banned out. Makes sense. This is a very this map is very heavily based around playing inside of corridors, so dealing with the chain bombs there can be very difficult. And it's gonna be ETC banned out by the side of Team Tiny. So just a solid tank taken away, as well as a potential off lane with the global there. We'll see what now is the first pick, as Samuro, Abathur, those are all up. So lots of options here for Randy Newman. But they're going to go ahead and start with just a solid Johanna pick. You can't really feel like you're going wrong with that. She fills so many different, she checks so many different boxes when you put her in a team, and just worth picking up super early for her ability to do that, to be just solid in any scenario. We're going to see double damage, or maybe a damage in an off lane, depending on how this is played, coming out now for the side of Team Tiny with a Li Ming, as well as a Zeratul, something you don't see played a lot. So eyes will be out on Leduds to see how he's able to perform, as Abathur going to be picked away, so they don't want to see that with a Zeratul. And also just gives them a ton of potential for macro pressure, especially in the mid to late game, as well as pretty solid in team fights, especially again in the late game. Now we're going to see the Samuro getting banned out, and that is another unsurprising thing. Rhaegar was picked up for the healer, and that's something that's really, really good to see from Randy Newman, because that does help to address the fact that with Abathur, your early game pressure, such as stuff onto camps, being able to take those is pretty weak, so having a healer like Rhaegar, who offers a ton of camp clear, is very helpful. They're going to go ahead and ban out the Garrosh here. Don't want to have their Rhaegar thrown in, or the Stukov, or the clone from Abathur getting thrown in, but we're going to see Stukov and Varian, a classic blow-up composition here, coming out for Team Tiny. They're going to try and rotate, taunt, silence, and just pick off the members of Randy Newman one by one. Thanks for the luck, NyQuil. I hope your cast goes great as well. We're going to have the last two picks now for Randy Newman. See what they got planned. Well, it's not every day you see that. The Butcher being played here, as well as Kira. Whew.
Where will we end up this time?
And the Lost Vikings coming out for the side of Team Tiny. So both teams, I think Randy Newman was very aware of what the plan was here for Team Tiny. They seem very much like they were ready for it. And man, oh, because we have some hero swaps. Alright. Li Ming is going to be there. Zeratul going to be still there. Okay. Man, 4 players swapping on the side of oh wait, no. I want here to be Varian. Alright. Whew. So two different approaches here. I think Randy Newman was definitely aware that there might be a Vikings coming in for our left side here, hence the butcher pick. But here we are nonetheless. On the left side, we're going to start here. Hold up. Alright, sorry about that. Alright, on the left side, starting off here, we're going to have Team Tiny, Stukov played by Mr. Downchild, Canny playing all 3 Vikings, Leduds on Zeratul, Montague on the Varian, and Array playing the Li Ming. Up against this cheese with some cheese of their own. And there were some last minute swaps, it looks like, as I think I've got... Nope, I do have it right, I believe. Randy Newman on the Kira, Wendy Wooman on the Johanna, Randy Newman on the Butcher, Rhonda Newman on the Rhaegar, and up in the top lane is going to be Nandy Ruman, I believe it is, on the Abathur. And First Blood already coming out onto Randy Newman. Got caught a little bit out of position there and going to get punished for it. So one thing to know about the Vikings is that they are very good at stopping what Abathur wants to do, which is just keep his team ahead in XP by soaking during these objectives, and as well as applying some pressure in the macro with his locusts there. Because of the Vikings, now the side of Team Tiny can just send all 4 of their members to the objective and not really be too worried about a potential XP loss against the Abathur. That being said, if they make it to the late game, the team fight with an Abathur and a potential for a stacked Butcher can be very, very scary. So that is also something to be aware with. Team Tiny getting out their bruiser camp, while it looks like Randy Newman is not exactly sure where they want to position, just trying to make sure that no one's ganking or pushing in too hard. But now they're going to have to respond to this. If you look at level 1, we do have the bribe here for the Vikings, so they're going to be able to bribe some camps, potentially getting shorter cooldown times on those camps. Ooh, as we're going to have the first kill onto a Viking here. Rhaegar taking out Eric in the bottom lane. Meat not going to be there for the Butcher, unfortunately for him. And we're seeing Kira starting off with the W quest at level 1. So we'll have to watch that. That is a very big power spike when she's able to complete that. Will give her a lot of sustained damage, which will also give her a little bit more self-sustain. As you would expect, level 4 here is going to be taunt for Varian, immediately going to put it onto Johanna, but she's not too worried about it. And overall, a really good defense onto the bruiser camp here by Randy Newman, losing very, very little. And all the meanwhile, Rhaegar grabbing this siege camp. That being said, and keeping up an XP, I was going to say, they weren't able to keep Rhaegar in the bottom lane to soak, but it looks like Abathur was going to be able to handle it. Ooh! Not sure exactly where that happened, but looks like in the top lane, Kira getting a little bit too greedy for a kill there, gonna get picked off. Rhonda Newman only against Varian and Stukov here, but Li Ming is coming in. They are going to be able to escape just fine, but that's 2 kills now against Kira. She's going to have to be a little bit more careful here. We do have a lightning shield build coming out for Rhaegar so far, so fully going for the camp clear with that one. Wendy Wooman getting harassed by the Zeratul, but Zeratul has to be careful. Yep, he does have his blink, going to be able to get out just fine. And actually, first objective going to be easily claimed. Not enough poke there between the Kira and Rhaegar. So that's going to be 1 up for the side of Team Tiny. Very well played so far in this early game. Even pressuring up the top lane a little bit. Ooh, and Randy Newman going to have an unfortunate misclick there. Not going to get the kill onto Olaf. And in the mid lane, Johanna is going to fall to this taunt variant with Stukov combo, which has been, in the past few seasons of NGS and Heroes Lounge, really really making a name for itself and showing how powerful it is. Butcher gotta be careful here. Phase checks the bush, gonna get taunted and taken out. That's meat down the drain. Dropping 15 there. Bruisers are gonna come out, looks like. Newman gonna be able to finish those up, but probably have to back after. This is going to be favorable positioning on the tribute for the side of Team Tiny, so I would expect that they will probably get this one without too much of a fight. But right now, it's all about staying alive for the third objective here for Randy Newman. They need to get Abathur to 10 before the curse comes so that they have a chance to fight for that third tribute. So right now, they're just going to be focusing on soaking these lanes. That is something that is definitely a pretty big problem here, I think, potentially for Randy Newman, as we have actually an engage onto Randy Newman, going to get healed up by his team. Now, Zeratul getting a bit low, but not going to fall, going to be able to just blink out there. And it looks like Team Tiny going to be able to walk away. The duds on the Zeratul, even getting some nice burst onto Randy Newman. But as I was saying, level 10 and Butcher's Meat Quest are very, very big power spikes that Randy Newman really need to get to be able to stand a chance in the team fights. They are a slightly pretty bulky team, but it's not going to be enough to keep them alive through taunt combos, and one pick means resets for Li Ming, so they really need to get their team composition online here, as we have a half-level lead for Team Tiny thanks to these Vikings. They have lost some structures, such as here in the mid lane, but so far, if you go ahead and take a look at the experience here, Vikings already at 11,000, Abathur only at 4,000, so definitely a struggle here, as you would expect. And level 10's coming in for Team Tiny. Gonna elect to give the tribute, so not take the curse, but as a result, going to be able to get their own boss here. Something worth noting, do we see Mule? We do not see Mule here for Abathur, so he will not be able to heal up these structures as they are being hit by the boss and after the boss goes away. So no potential here to really save the fort unless they make a quick rotation down. Luckily, I think they get this boss in time. Ooh, Keurig stunning Varian just in time to keep him off of that point. Just a second late, and that could have been a very dangerous fight there down level 10s. But now they're going to have him on the side of Randy Newman. And so if we take a look here, we're going to have Flailing Swipe for the side of Stukov on Team Tiny, as we have an engage up here. Randy Newman throwing out his ult, not hitting anything and going to fall. Nope, Bless Shield comes out and saves him. Great job there for Randy Newman, protecting the meat. But as I was saying, play again for the Vikings. We have the Wave of Force. I was going to say Force Wave, but that just did not sound right. Wave of Force for the side of Li Ming, Might of the Nerazim for Zeratul, and the Protected by the Way there with the shield wall for Varian. On the other side, we have, of course, the Lamb to the Slaughter. The Blessed Shield, we actually have Evolve Monstrosity here. So looking for some push potential, actually, as that's going to burrow all the way back here to make sure that it stays alive. And then we have the Final Strike for Kira and Ancestral Healing. So interesting pick there. You do not see Evolve Monstrosity a lot just because it doesn't offer much to team fights, which does mean you are down a person, but maybe because there is a Vikings on the side of Team Tiny, they feel that they can just go for that oppressive split push rather than trying to have that superior team fight. Blink going to come out from Zeratul and get Randy Newman in a very bad position. Going to be able to use the trait to try and get out. Sitting at 100 health. Ooh, the Blessed Shield trying to save Randy Newman there, but not going to be enough, as the Final Strike barely missing out on getting the Zeratul kill. And that is another kill here for the side of Team Tiny. And with 2 out of 3 tributes on both of these teams and the level 13 talent in for Team Tiny, this is going to be a curse. We did see the bottom fort fall to the boss from Team Tiny, so this is going to be pushing into 2 forts. One has the towers here to be a bit of a buffer, but in the mid lane already having taken some damage. Vikings going to have the jump there at level 13 to help make sure they aren't feeding too much meat, as Butcher is looking pretty starved right now, only sitting at 66 meat there. Looking at level 13s, worth noting we don't have the virulent reaction. Instead, it hungers for Mr. Downchild, looking to be able to be a bit safer against this heavy melee comp while still following up with the silence. Rhonda Newman barely gets the Ancestral out, and now this is looking scary for the side of Team Tiny. Leduds barely gets out on the Zero Tool, but Array and on the Li Ming and the Stukov, played by Mr. Downchild, are both going to fall, and it looks like potentially Varian as well. That's a lot of meat for the side of Randy Newman, but Play Again was used in the top lane to secure the kill onto Abathur, so this is going to be all forts going down, as we do have also the Merc Lord coming in for the Vikings, so going to buff up that siege camp there. It's going to hit like a truck, and overall a pretty good curse for the side of Team Tiny, giving some meat to Butcher, which is very dangerous and very powerful for Randy Newman, but Randy Newman's still down about a full level, which is something that I don't think can be understated. That being said, Vikings not as strong in the late game, and as I said, there are some very scary late game talents here, as well as scaling here for the side of Randy Newman, so we'll have to keep watching, see how this turns out for them. Take a look at the stats here as the Bruiser Camp comes out for Randy Newman. Currently, Vikings sitting at over 100,000 siege damage, doing a great job there. And the hero damage, currently highest for Kira, and Varian actually highest hero damage on the side of the blue team, getting a lot of damage with just his poke and the engages there with the taunt. Proving pretty effective in his role so far. Jump going to come out for Canny on the Baylog. So again, doing a good job of denying the meat to this Butcher, who is sitting now at 142. So not doing too horribly, but definitely would have liked to be stacked by this point. We'll see if they're able to pull it off and start turning things around, but right now they are down to level 16 talent. They're going to need to try and play it a bit safer here. We do have the Evolve Monstrosity pushing in the bottom lane. Not sure how stacked it is, but it is taking tower shots here, so we'll have to see if it's able to effectively push in. As a potential Viking kill here, yeah, this is not going to be a Viking kill, as Play Again used just to deny the meat. That is going to allow Abathur to push in the bottom lane more, but looks like right now Team Tiny doesn't really care about the bottom lane. They just want to kind of harass here. Makes sense, they're up 16 talents, but with the potential for the re-engage there from Randy Newman, they're going to go ahead and back off. Randy Newman uses their trait to just walk away, getting kind of low, but going to be fine for the moment, and level 16s will be secured for the side of Randy Newman. Some strong talents coming in. Of course, we have the Fanaticism for Johanna, going to give her movement speed, which will be very effective here. Ooh, Ledud's getting scouted out by Rhonda Newman. Good job there with the Lightning Shield. And the boss, started by the Vikings here, going to get scouted out. And this is a team fight here. 16 versus 16. Stukov getting low, taken out. Silence onto Li Ming. She's not able to get those resets. And a great Ancestral onto Randy Newman on the Butcher, going to get him back to full. He's only 4 meat away, and now this is looking like it could be an invaded boss here, as Olaf also falling to Johanna here. Gonna ping Butcher, see if he's able to get the meat. Looks like he wasn't able to, like he wasn't in range there for the takedown, so not quite gonna finish off his quest, but he's only 4 away, just a few minions, and I would expect to see him pick that up pretty soon here. As for the moment, Ledud's trying to just rotate around, maybe apply some pressure, but being scouted out by the Abathur mines. So good job there from Nandy Ruman on the Abathur. Doing a great job of using those mines to stop the rotations, and Butcher's quest is done. This is the moment where Randy Newman is going to look to turn things around. They've got the boss, which should get them a fort in the bottom lane. They've got the quest at level 1 for Kira. They've got the baseline for Butcher. Those are 2 huge power spikes here. They're looking a lot stronger than they did a few minutes ago in this match. Just a few key team fights, getting Butcher fed, and it's looking like we've got some potential for a comeback here. So we'll see how Team Tiny is able to react for the moment, just finishing off the boss. They've got to be aware that the top boss is being started here for the side of Randy Newman. But not going to be able to rotate up in time. No chance of that. So they're just going to have to try and fight to keep Randy Newman from getting a curse of their own here. So we've got a level 18 versus level 18 fight. Kills still in favor of the side of Team Tiny, but I don't think they've gotten a kill since Randy Newman got their first kill. So past 5 kills have been all Randy Newman, and now a huge engage with the booming kick from Randy Newman on the Kira, followed up excellently by the Butcher. Tons of self-healing coming out as Li Ming and Stukov are the first to fall. The Spell Power banner not going to do anything to save them from Varian, and that's going to be a triple kill for Randy Newman as well as a curse. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, we do have the Monstrosity falling to Eric here, not Olaf or Balog, but Eric. But this is a 2v5 here against this boss and a curse. Worst case scenario here for the side of Team Tiny here with the Vikings. So Randy Newman looking like they're doing a good job of turning it around, knowing that the weakness of a Lost Vikings comp is the late game, and drafting enough early game to keep in against this comp with the taunt variant long enough to possibly finish it up here. We do have a few seconds on the death timers here, so we should definitely see the keep fall as we do. But Randy Newman not going to go for the end. Running into Zeratul there, actually. Ooh, Butcher getting a little bit baited here. They need to be careful with this rotation, as they are, behind a fort and a front wall for the keep, and that's going to result in the Ancestral being a bit too late and Rhaegar falling. A crucial counter kill here, as up 20. If a fight came out here for Randy Newman, that could have been game ending here, as we have the utility belt for Kira, the dual symbiote in the Hive Mind for Abathur, Radiating Faith on the Blessed Shield for a huge stun, the upgraded Lambda the Slaughter here with the Slaughterhouse, I believe it is, indeed. AoE there, able to get silence onto multiple, as well as the Storm Shield, so some serious CC here to set up the team fights for Randy Newman. We'll have to see how they capitalize on that, as right now they're just going to invade the Bruisers real quick and then back up, wait for their Rhaegar to respawn in a few seconds here. And the playing field is decently even for the moment. There is a keep advantage for Randy Newman, but the bosses are all down for about a minute and a half more, as well as neither team being anywhere near a curse. So at this moment, it is going to be pretty even here. Randy Newman does have the camp pressure, but thanks to the Vikings existing, there is going to be the potential to push that back here, especially with their level 20 here. Fury of the Storm going to do some nice damage against the minions here, as well as the upgrade for Flailing Swipe. I believe that is Controlled Chaos, yes. There for Stukov, so the multiple charges, the Tal Rashas for extra damage, as well as the Twilight Falls. Kira actually ulting. It's only a 40-second cooldown, so worth or not, it's up to debate, but gonna get more meat for Butcher. And then we also have the Glory to the Alliance for the increased healing here. Stukov gonna get caught by the silence and blown up. Great engage there. The Radiating Faith on the Blessed Shield doing so much there to lock down both the healer and the tank on the side of Team Tiny. Zeratul having to run away as he is super low. And Randy Newman says, we don't even care about chasing. We have the Hive Mind. We're just going to run past this keep. We have a 260 stack Butcher. We can end this game right here, right now. That being said, very large potential to get some resets here for Li Ming. So we're going to have to watch here. Randy Newman getting low. Going to use the utility belt to get out. But Randy Newman is hitting the core so hard on this Butcher, and that's going to be it. Game 1 going over to Randy Newman. GG's. Whew. Intense first match here. Complete honesty, I felt like towards the late game, after we saw the first team fight going in favor of Randy Newman, I felt like they had a very good chance to pull it around, but I was not sure which team was really going to be favored there. until the very end there with those last few kills. And even then, with the Twilight Falls for Zeratul, as well as Tall Rashas for Li Ming, that was a dangerous core call. If one person had fallen for Randy Newman, it was likely they would all fall, which shouldn't have been the end of the game, as there isn't really enough siege between the Vikings, Li Ming, and Zeratul to take down the core there. But it would have been a really good potential for a turnaround here on the side of Team Tiny. So well played by both teams. Stukov actually getting caught the most here, being a little bit aggressive with his positioning on the silences to follow up Varian, but Kira falling a lot on the side of Randy Newman, trying to rotate but didn't quite work out there. Of course, against Vikings, you want to have a Viking hunter in either the Butcher or Kira or Illidan. Butcher didn't want to really rotate, as he didn't want to get caught by that taunt Varian comp, but Kira, getting caught so much, showed that there was a lot of potential there for the side of Team Tiny with their composition. As Team Tiny is going to prefer the first pick for our next map here. Just going to wait here a second to see what Randy Newman wants to go for, as they have the map selection to try and make it a 2-0 in their favor. One thing that I think is of note, I think while the Abathur's Evolved Monstrosity did get some value, I believe it got decent chip onto the top and bottom forts, which did help when the curse came for the side of Randy Newman. I felt that it didn't quite have the impact that I might have liked to see there. Because we're actually going to have the classic map, Infernal Shrines, here, picked up for our next map. I'm going to ask the teams here to swap sides, as they are currently swapped from last round, so just trying to get some consistency here helps me a lot. But looking at this map, Infernal Shrines, there's a lot that you can look for here. You can look for AoE, just looking for wave clear, just try and out clear the opposing team and win every objective. Or you might see a different approach in that you could have just completely focused on team fight, try and just win every fight to win every shrine. You can even see focus onto macro and some cheese. As I mentioned, we did see some cheesy comps recently in the Regen Invitational from Randy Newman. They ended up losing the series, but with almost no healer, almost no tank comp, with only Uther and Abathur as the quote-unquote supports or frontline. Pulling out a win with that kind of comp on this map, very impressive. So be interesting to see if they have some cheese. Obviously, so honesty here, and Nyquil calling out in the chat, Butcher, not the first time played by Randy Newman here. They've played him before and done well. Looks like we do have one person AFK for the moment, but we should hopefully be getting in here soon. But I think both teams have some cheese up their sleeves, but maybe on this map we see cheese didn't really work super well for either team. In the end, the Butcher did work out, but that was kind of in part thanks to the Vikings being on the other side. So maybe see the cheese going away a little bit as we're going to jump into our second map here on Infernal Shrines. First pick is going to be here for the side of Team Tiny, of course. So what are they going to ban here? I'm not sure any specific hero actually felt super effective for Randy Newman as far as being worth a ban, but they're going to take out the Zool even from the first pick position, so not willing to pick it and afraid that Randy Newman will try and let it through. They're just going to go ahead and ban it because they don't want to have to deal with that in any way, shape, and or form. And Johanna going to be the response ban here from Randy Newman, so taking away a solid tank who is able to really control the battlefield as well as the objective here with all of the shrine minions. Next ban here going to be in favor of Team Tiny, and they're going to take out Jaina. Very similar case to Johanna, very solid in team fights as well as on the shrine. So getting rid of that just gets rid of an overall solid hero here. So again, not opting to ban out anything cheesy. Not worried about anything here from the side of Randy Newman, or potentially trying to hide exactly what they might be going for here. As we're going to see Kael'thas banned out, similar reason to Jaina, able to give a lot of poke with the firebombs as well as control on the shrine with that AoE team fight. And the first pick onto onto ETC here, I was looking at my sheet from last game. ETC picked up here for the main tank on the side of Team Tiny. That was banned out by them last game. Didn't want Randy Newman to have it, but now that they are having first pick, they are willing to take it for themselves. Hello to everyone who's showing up in chat. Leo Rice, 8-Bit, Arby's, and Maestro. Thanks for showing up, guys. But we're going to have the start of something that is a little bit familiar from a comp that I've been talking about a little bit, with the start here being the Uther and the Alarak for the side of Randy Newman. But they're going to have to maybe adjust a little bit as Deathwing and Leoric picked up here. So heavy front line here. And with the unstoppables for Leoric and Deathwing, hard targets, as my English is on fire right now, hard targets there for an Alarak to try and get kills there. And Leoric being taken, also denying there a potential powerful pick against the Deathwing. So really solid drafting strategy here. I think it is showing your hand quite a bit and very early, but seeing an Uther and an Alarak being able to just pick up some bulky heroes, Leoric also able to reduce the damage here of the side of Randy Newman, and with the Malthael banned, I think this is a very great start into the draft here for Team Tiny. Greymane is going to get picked up, as he is a classic powerful hero to use against Deathwing, as well as just a heavy frontline comp like this, thanks to the Cursed Bullet. But will it be enough is that's really their main damage here onto these frontliners. And there's not... against triple frontline, it's going to be a bit hard to pull out a weak backliner. But a beefy comp is starting to show itself for the side of Randy Newman, as well as potentially going into the main heals Uther with a Mal'Ganis here picked up for the front line. So final pick here for this, or final two picks here for the side of Team Tiny. Very melee heavy drafts for both of these teams, and it looks like we're going to see the Zeratul picked up again, as well as a Rhaegar. So maybe even seeing a Bloodlust. We've got two very heavy melee comps, so if you're able to get the Bloodlust there, it might work out. Might just see Ancestral though, so we'll have to see what happens if we get some fun talents or if we get some meta talents. As the last pick here, going to be Randy Newman, of Randy Newman. And it's going to be Orphea. Interesting. A hero that we don't see too often, but she has decent AoE, decent macro pressure, but a lot of ability to team fight, especially against clumped up frontlining teams like this from the side of Team Tiny. So we'll have to see, is it going to be enough damage here for the side of Randy Newman, or is Team Tiny's bulk going to carry them through this second map here on Infernal Shrines? We're going to be seeing here any moment as we go into map 2 for these two teams. You know what? Last map I didn't do this, and I'm messing up there and doing the wrong command. But I'm going to go ahead and pull the chat. Who do we think is going to win? Team Tiny or Randy Newman? We'll give it 2 minutes here, and we'll see who the chat thinks has the better draft here. I personally like the draft of Team Tiny. but I think I also probably would have preferred their draft on the previous map, so we'll have to see if they're able to pull out the start of a turnaround here, or if Randy Newman is going to be able to secure their win. As on the left, we're going to start with Mr. Downchild on the Leoric. Up here, we've got Montagai on ETC, Canny on Deathwing, Array on Rhaegar, and Leduds on the Zeratul, which was so effective last game. Randy Newman on the Orphea this game, Nandy Ruman on Uther, Wendy Wooman on Mal'Ganis, Rhonda Newman on Greymane, and Randy Newman on Alrak for the side of Randy Newman. They're going to try and make this a clean 2-0. As we get into the mid lane here, going to see Leoric immediately splitting off for the side of Team Tiny, so not looking to fight, but early sadism, early fighting is what Randy Newman wants. So they're sending all 5 here to the mid to start with. Deathwing getting aggressive in the melee form here. Gonna take some damage for it, but not too much. And Montagai and Leduds on the Zeratul and ETC are looking to potentially punish some overextension here. Randy Newman gonna use the telekinesis to get themselves out here. And now Zeratul taking some decent damage. Unfortunately, Silence gonna be a bit too late there from Randy Newman to get the kill, as the Blink's gonna come out. And in the top lane, first minion wave is missed for the side of Randy Newman, so a good start here for the side of Team Tiny. Looks like we're gonna see Uther starting in the top lane, with Alarak potentially rotating up as well. Looks like it's gonna be an Alarak off lane, something you do see occasionally, but not super frequently. And Greymane already starting out onto the camp, while on the side of Team Tiny, we're gonna have Leduds on the Zeratul and Array on the Rhaegar starting out theirs. Looks like chat is going to be in favor of Randy Newman for this one. We'll have to see if they're right, as right now Uther going for the auto attack here at level 1, so looking for the cooldown reduction onto the stun to try and get some chain CC onto the side of Team Tiny. Both of these teams just loving brawling right now, and it makes sense. You've got two very frontline, very divey comps here, as Leduds on Zeratul taking a lot of damage, but going to be able to get out. Great power slide there from Montagai, hitting all 4 from Randy Newman. And it looks like Mr. Downchild able to get ahead in the rotations here, even looking for double soak as they're about to hit level 4. And Nandy Ruman falling a little bit low on the Uther. Sustained healing on Uther is not that great, gonna be a bit of a weak point there, so we'll have to see how this poke war turns out for Randy Newman as things continue. We are gonna see the first objective gonna be in the bottom lane. It should spawn here in a few seconds, the timer, so it looks like we do have Greymane starting out the bruisers for the side of Randy Newman, while Team Tiny grabbing the bottom siege for themselves. Level 4 is in for both sides. We do have the Neil Peasants for Leoric, going to allow him to double soak, as well as have some really great shrine pressure there with the increased damage against non-heroics. And right now it looks like the positioning going to be in favor of Team Tiny, but they did not grab their bruisers, so that is something to be aware of, as actually the stun with the power slide as well as a great follow-up there onto Randy Newman, and he's not going to be able to get out. Orphea falling just before the objective there. But now potentially a pick onto Array, but denied thanks to another great face melt. Montagai on the ETC showing his prowess. And Leoric now able to stay in the top lane, as we do have Orphea gone. So going to be able to really mitigate the potential there from the bruiser camp. That being said, looks like we do have Randy Newman taking a slight lead, but it's going to be pretty much just back and forth as we have Leduds looking for some backline pressure. But one thing to note, Uther is super good about dealing with something like a Zeratul thanks to his point-and-click CC there, and we're seeing it every time Leduds is going in. He's getting chunked, maybe not finished off, but as the game continues and damage scales, he's going to need to be careful here. As right now, though, a huge minion lead as well as a potential lead in kills here as Randy Newman falls for the side of Team Tiny, and it looks like this first Punisher is going to be theirs. Getting the Mortar Punisher, Randy Newman going to be able to get out, though, to bait it over the wall, as they are down about half a level Gonna mean a talent tier advantage here for the side of Team Tiny, but not that much else here. As looks like they're going to push in with this Punisher. Deathwing just getting a few Skyfalls in for the extra healing there. Ooh, a nice power slide onto Randy Newman into the mortars from the Punisher. Those do a lot more damage than a lot of people realize, thanks to some buffs a while ago. And it's going to be the fall of Mal'Ganis. Early game again coming out in favor of Team Tiny here, as they're going to take the first fort of the game. Doing really well with that first Punisher push. Great follow-ups on the CC from Montagai on the ETC, who has been performing very excellently. And always aggressive positioning here by Team Tiny. They're doing a great job of just bullying around the map, saying, "This is you can try to control the map, but we're going to get in your face about it and punish you if you try and rotate alone." Speaking of people who are alone right now, Nandy Ruman on the Uther, getting caught out in the mid lane by all four members, going to try and heal themselves, but they're going to fall. Nice follow-up onto the CC there by Randy Newman, but again, this is such a bulky team composition on the side of Team Tiny, and it's just going to be another kill here as they're now up an entire level here. Level 9 looking for their level 10s. Interesting thing here, we have the cocktail build, 1 and 7 here for Greymane, so looking very heavily for poke here, as Leduds got very low there, able to teleport out, but the pressure onto him this game has been very high compared to last game, so great job from Randy Newman working on that, but now they need to be careful because they are down the level 10 talents, which we're going to see the Entomb for Leoric, the Bellowing Roar for Deathwing, Ancestral Healing for Rhaegar, and ETC and Zeratul currently holding. It's going to be Mosh Pit and Might of the Nerazim, so not going for any VP setups, but going to have the potential for some nice AoE CC here with the Entomb, as well as the Bellowing Roar and the Mosh Pit. So great potential there for further lockdown, is Nandy Ruman again being caught out here, throwing out the stun, but they're just going to be falling yet again here. Like I said, ETC being used excellently to punish the overextensions here from the side of Randy Newman. Uther specifically getting caught out now. That's the second time. As we can go ahead and look at some stats here. Currently 2 deaths on the Uther, with 1 on the other heroes for Randy Newman, except for the Greymane doing a good job of staying alive, as Ledud's getting aggressive, diving behind the fort for some damage onto the side of Randy Newman. And everywhere that Randy Newman goes, they're getting pushed back very effectively here. Randy Newman not able to really set up effectively against such a heavy frontline composition from Team Tiny. We're going to have to see if level 10s can turn that around, as we're going to see coming in for them the Crushing Jaws for Orphea, the Cursed Bullet for Greymane, Carrion Swarm for Mal'Ganis, Counter Strike for the Alarak, and ETC, or not ETC, the Uther currently holding, as Montagai going to get collapsed onto and saved barely by the Ancestral Healing. Great job there. Divine Storm ends up being the pick here for Nandy Ruman, going to come out trying to get a pick here for the side of Randy Newman, and they are going to get Leoric, but he'll be back before either Mal'Ganis or Uther are able to make it up to the objective. And now Orphea is getting collapsed on and going to fall, as Uther has fully disappeared, and Zeratul even diving in and getting the kill onto Greymane, falling on his own though, and that is going to give a little bit of Salarak to, going to give a little bit of sadism to the Alarak. My brain combining the words there again. But level 13's in favor of Team Tiny, and they're looking much more in control of this game, not needing the Varian or falling back on that taunt, as they're able to take a much more aggressive stance this game, and everything being poured onto Montagai, and he's just fine yet again. Tap's going to be used here for the side of Team Tiny, as they are 20 ahead right now. Cursed Bullet came out onto Deathwing, but he's going to fly into the air, look for some Skyfall to heal himself up. Going to land 1. Sleep goes on to ETC, but not going to result in anything there. Ooh, Zeratul missing the Singularity Spike. That's going to mean Randy Newman getting out okay. Uses the counter-strike there. And now actually positioning not too bad for Randy Newman. They're down a talent still, but they're catching up in the Shrine minions. And looking pretty healthy here as Randy Newman doing a good job of finding the Zeratul. But now the team fight is going to be on 5v5 here. Cooldowns up for both teams here as the Mosh Pit is back. Deathwing flying into the back, gonna follow it up potentially with a Bellowing Roar. Nope, just looking to get some damage onto the backliners here, but Bellowing Roar actually gonna push the side of Randy Newman away. As Randy Newman and Nandy Ruman both getting very low on the Orphea and Uther, as well as Randy Ruman on the Mal'Ganis. Carrion Swarm was used and the Solo Mosh there to finish him off. And again, the Ancestral perfect to save Montagai on the ETC as he was pulled into the towers there. And now an objective pushing in without a tank here for the side of Randy Newman. Rhonda Newman trying to get the pick onto Laduds, but Mr. Downchild gonna be there to turn it around. Rhonda Newman getting caught as we have Orphea getting taken out as well. That's 2 more kills for this team of Team Tiny, and they aren't even 16 yet, which is some very scary spikes here for heroes like Zeratul and Leoric and Deathwing as well. So a very good objective phase so far from them. Healthy Frozen Punisher now going to be pushing in against the Keep here. Looks like not super confident in their siege pressure. We're going to see Team Tiny just going ahead and invading the Bruiser camp while this Punisher wails on the Keep a little bit. Not going to be able to get too much damage or anything here on the wall, but all in the meantime, Leoric has been pushing into this mid lane, and that's going to be all forts down again for Randy Newman. But this time down almost 3 entire levels here, whereas last game we saw them at most a level behind. So very, very effective play here early on from the side of Team Tiny, executing on some picks very well as keeping the experience lead so that they are consistently able to win the objectives there with the talent leads. Cam getting cleared out in the top lane by Greymane, as Alarak wanting to stay with the team a bit more as he is afraid of losing that sadism. But at this point, Randy Newman just has to kind of play safe as Team Tiny is going to be ahead with the level 16 talent tier. Very powerful talents coming in. We have the Void Slash here for Zeratul. Huge increase in damage if he's able to land that onto 2 or more of the enemy heroes. And now looking to rotate in onto the side of Randy Newman. Nandy Ruman gonna scout it out so that the rest of the team is able to step back in time. But this aggressive positioning has been consistent, and with the camps pushing in, we might see some further damage coming out for the side of Team Tiny onto these structures here from Randy Newman. Still down about a level from getting level 16. And Zeratul currently lurking. This was something that we saw a lot last game, just kind of sitting around in bushes from Team Tiny. I would like to see them try and be a little bit more aggressive, group up, try and push in with their level 16 advantage, as they do have it for another level. But it looks like right now they're just content with keeping up the pressure in all of the lanes. Try and make sure that Randy Newman will have to give up some structure value, even if they are able to fight for the next objective here. Looks like the danger ping's coming out just in time for Randy Newman. Gonna save Nandy and Randy from a potential gank there. I should say Uther and Orphea, but they're gonna step back out, and the Solo Mosh onto Uther, interrupted this time though, and ETC falls. Uther able to heal himself back up, and that is a kill, as well as a 2-minute cooldown, as well as ETC gonna be down for the first 15-20 seconds of this objective, which spawns at the worst time possible for Team Tiny, as level 16s are finally here for Randy Newman. Whew, great turnaround there, punishing the use of Mosh that close to the towers. That is something Alarak is able to do very effectively, is punish the positioning there from the ETC, and with the Ancestral a little bit well, not even too late necessarily, as much as just not. I don't think it even would have been enough if it did connect there, thanks to the tower shots coming out. That's going to be a lead now onto a shrine finally for the side of Randy Newman. We have even pure malice coming out for Alarak, so going to try and get some sadism from the deaths of his teammates here. As Mr. Downchild looking for the damage reduction onto the side of Randy Newman, but now it's 5 versus 5. Only Mosh Pit and Divine Storm down. Divine Storm should be back pretty soon, as we're going to see Deathwing and Leoric taking some damage, but Zeratul aggressing into this backline, getting lots of damage out onto the damage for Randy Newman. Getting low himself, but looks like it is going to be Randy Newman mostly being the ones being pushed back, as Randy Newman on the Mal'Ganis getting dangerously low. Gonna try and sleep the members of Team Tiny so that they can get out. And it's gonna be Rhaegar who falls first, as a great collapse there from Orphea. Mal'Ganis gonna fall next, as well as Zeratul, as Rhonda Newman on the Greymane barely getting out. Very low, as well as Alarak, played by Randy Newman. But Mr. Downchild on the Leoric also low and going to fall. That's 3 kills for none, or for 1 in favor of Randy Newman. But as I said, the consistent pressure in from Team Tiny allowed for the top lane here to keep going to fall to the Bruiser camp. And this objective will be here for the side of Randy Newman, but it's going into a fort. Looks like they're going to go for the Bruiser camp here, try and make sure that they aren't losing their core, as they're stalling it out at 39. Uther will secure it, but right now Randy Newman trying to just keep their structures alive. So it looks like this Punisher going to be taken, but really just going to be let go, as level 20 is very close for Team Tiny, and the lanes are pushed very effectively here. So not going to get much more than the front wall here for the side of Randy Newman. Well, they are going to rotate in. It's down to half though, so a good early defense here given to Team Tiny, and level 20 is coming in pretty soon. Currently 4v5, as we have Alarak sitting in the mid lane, or well, bot lane. Whoa, a huge collapse on Leoric. I was expecting him to just ghost walk out, but no, he's getting caught out and just blown up. That is the potential that you do have with an Orphea and a Greymane there. Interrupt onto this Discord strike from Randy Newman, as the Mosh Pit gonna come out onto 2, and Zeratul gonna kill Alarak, get rid of the sadism, and while the fort is falling, it's now full retreat for Randy Newman. Zeratul watching on the side, gonna get caught by Uther and Orphea there. Gets low, but Randy Newman on the Uther is going to be the first one to fall, and now Randy Newman also falling on the Mal'Ganis. And Leoric is almost back up, and with 3 members dead on the side of Randy Newman, it looks like this is a potential attempt for game here on the side of Team Tiny. Deathwing putting out so much damage against this heavy melee comp with that AoE burn build. And Greymane currently not even in range for the defense, maybe not anticipating this aggression, as Leoric had been down during the fight where they got those kills, but he's going to respawn with the team, and Orphea falls immediately. This is going to be game here for Team Tiny. Going to even it up. 1-1 now in the series, with some very excellent team fights. Showed a little bit of weakness there towards the end, but not going to be enough for Randy Newman to come back again. And now a game secured for the side of Team Tiny. GG. Alright, so far both of these teams winning off of the first pick. Interesting. I gotta say, I think, you know, normally you see the Molten Breath build here for Deathwing, but since the recent nerfs and buffs, nerfs to the melee build and buffs to the ranged build, but the AoE there just proved so effective at chunking down the super heavy front line. Orphea, even as a mage who is, you might think is ranged, she plays a lot closer than other mages, really likes to get in your face so that she can land those chomps. And despite good damage coming out from Randy Newman, they just were the team with less sustain and less bulk, and gonna go ahead and drop a map here now, evening up the series here as the rotations and the team fight from the side of Team Tiny were just excellent in taking advantage of some mispositioning as well as the team composition that they had there. Alright, we should have our choice of map pick or first pick for Randy Newman, as they are the team that lost any moment now. They're going to go for map pick and deciding to go to Volskaya. Similar map to Infernal Shrines as far as a long objective that is over a certain point. But differently from Infernal Shrines, it is a good bit smaller, and it is very, I think that will help them a lot, as it'll be a bit harder for them to get caught out. And I think their team fight has consistently been solid throughout the series, really falling behind thanks to the rotations from the side of Team Tiny. And if they're able to just keep up the simple rotations that you normally see on Volskaya, then maybe hoping to be able to take the game there. As consistently, it has been the early game picks, which has been making life hard for Randy Newman here. Alright, we'll go ahead and pull it over to the map so we can go ahead and see, for anyone who came in since the first game, what's been going on. We saw the coin flip deciding Randy Newman would get first pick for the first map. That map was chosen by Team Tiny as Cursed, won by Randy Newman, who then were given map pick by Team Tiny, went ahead and grabbed Infernal Shrines, which they lost. And now selecting map pick and deciding to go to Volskaya to try and claim the series in their favor. We'll have to see if they're able to do it. You can see the nice logo there with the Butcher's sickle and meat cleaver, which we saw in game number 1. We'll have to see. I don't think we see a Butcher coming out again, but who knows? It's Randy Newman. You never know what they're going to go for. They are the epitome of a team that loves cheese. You never know what they're going to pull out. But on this map, I would expect maybe some more standard comps. I don't think we see super heavy melee fighting like we did last game. If we do, I expect Deathwing won't be in it. I expect Zool still won't be in it. So we might see a little bit more favorable composition there for team fights for the side of Randy Newman, as I do feel that the early Alarak pick, as well as the heavy melee into the burning Deathwing and the cleave from the Zeratul, did allow for Team Tiny to take those team fights constantly throughout the game and win them, as well as the overextensions from Randy Newman really being punished, which on this map, rotations are a lot more obvious and the map is a bit smaller, so that's going to go there for Randy Newman. So I think a good map choice here for them to try and turn it around for this game here. Alright, I'll go ahead and give the R to these teams. We do have one of the teams currently on a bio break, so we'll be waiting a minute or two for them. But I'm excited. I think I could not tell you who I would think would come back in this game. I think Cursed Hollow, seeing the early game go to a taunt variant comp with the Vikings is not super unexpected. Vikings known for giving you an early XP lead. So the turnaround there, especially with the very scaling focused comp from Randy Newman, is not too unexpected for me. But then the second game was dominant from Team Tiny. They showed very effectively that they were able to team fight and draft the better composition there with some great counter picks. All right. That being said, while I did mention that I think this this map is a little bit more favored towards Randy Newman as far as being able to avoid the gank rotations there from the side of Team Tiny and focus some better team fights there. There is still potential there for the side of Team Tiny to get those ganks, and they have done very solid in team fights in both games, even if they did fall behind in the late game of Cursed Hollow and did have some struggles when they were in a full 5v5. I think that it's still great potential for it to go either way. Alright, should hopefully be jumping in any moment now. We have our teams in our lobby to jump into this final map here for the series. We'll have to see who is going to pull it out. And here we are on Volskaya for our final map in this best of 3 series. Both teams doing excellently so far throughout both maps. Team Tiny pulling ahead and never really losing it in the second map, but Randy Newman is a team that can make comebacks happen and can also be very effective in the early game if they're able to get their draft. We're going to see a quick first ban onto Zool from the side of Team Tiny. Once again, electing to get rid of that one pretty much immediately. So, interesting thing to see there, because that is something that can definitely be exploited. If you're banning Zool from the first pick slot, we'll have to see though. Maybe it's just a strat. They're hiding the fact that they have a Zool player trying to get it maybe at some point in the playoffs. We'll have to see, as the Kael'thas is going to be banned out for Randy Newman. So taking away that mage who can be, again, effective in the clumped up points here with the AoE and the fire bombs. And again, we're going to see the Jaina ban. So very similar bans for these teams so far. Johanna was banned last time by Randy Newman, but are we going to see Johanna banned out again? The ETC was devastating last game, as well as the Deathwing, which is going to be the ban here. Respect being afforded to Canny on the hero, but Montagai gonna pick up the ETC immediately. Very happy to get that.
The crusade calls.
Johanna gonna be the pickup now for Rhonda Newman here. So I believe flexing into the main tank here. I believe Wendy did play the Johanna in the first game. I could be incorrect. But we're gonna see Rhonda on it this time. And then Sylvanas picked up by Randy Newman. Very, very scary on this map. Not only because she can help with the objective push, but because of the fact that Merc Queen works on the turrets, which does a insane amount of damage if you're able to keep those turrets up during an objective fight. So we'll have to see if Randy Newman takes advantage of that during the objective phases and during their pushes on this map so far. So we're going to have Chromie coming out, one of my personal favorites on this map. She's able to poke very effectively, and in the late game just does so much damage from afar. And Tyrande, similar case here to the Stukov, going to be able to follow up on a CC very effectively with CC of her own, but also having the mark there to reduce the armor onto whoever gets the power slide and the her stun there. The Yorick going to be the ban here, so taking away another hero, which was very effective there, played by Mr. Downchild in that last map. And now the final ban going to be coming out for the side of Team Tiny. They could get rid of a healer here potentially, but no, they're going to get rid of the Samuro again. They don't want to have to deal with that. Randy Newman has shown time and time again why that hero is banned versus him. So he's going to go ahead and he's going to get afforded some respect there as well. I'll go ahead and put up the poll there so that we can see some opinions start coming through based on how this draft has been going. Both teams definitely have a chance, but the combo here for Team Tiny is looking scary. But now Randy Newman himself pulling out the Maiev and Thrall by Randy Newman. So very solid team fight comp here for the side of Randy Newman, as they've got some good wombo potential, some good damage, and good sustain here. Maiev able to take care of herself. Thrall getting a lot of self-sustain. Sylvanas able to move around with the Haunting Wave there, I believe it is. But the final pick's going to be coming in, and it's going to be Lunara now for Leduds. Not going to go back onto the Zeratul after he felt that it wasn't effective enough play against him last game, and Yrel played by Mr. Downchild. A hero I personally find to be a little bit sleeper right now. Very, very powerful if you don't deal with that. But we're going to see Anduin coming out for the side of Randy Newman, so looking to get some nice protection with the pulls, which will help a lot against the constant picks that Team Tiny has been looking for in the past games. Alright, jumping into this map, I gotta say, both of these comps are very good. I think both of them have a lot of potential, but I think if the execution on the Maiev and the Anduin specifically are very good, then I think that we see Randy Newman walk away with this one. That's going to be my prediction here. Not biased, but I do think that their comp is the one that I favor here a little bit. We'll have to see. Can Team Tiny prove me wrong? They've done excellently in the past 2 maps of this series, and they're going to be starting over here with Mr. Downchild on the Yrel. Montagai playing ETC yet again. We're going to have Canny on the Chromie, Leduds on the Lunara, and Array on Tyrande. Against them, we're going to have Rhonda Newman on the Sylvanas. Got swapped over there, so that's going to be wrong in the overlay, unfortunately. Wendy Wooman on the Johanna, Randy Newman on the Maiev, Nandy Ruman on the Anduin, and Randy Newman on the Thrall. Got to pause here because of the banned skin, but looks like these aren't, the team not worried about it, so they're going to let it slide through. This is pretty much what you normally see when a banned skin comes out. Most teams don't really care, so they're going to let it go. Got the Fight Me Mid coming out from Nandy as the entirety of their team start heading into the top lane to get some potential team fight here. Alright, because I was ref, I had to unpause, forgot about that. But we're going to see the teams going ahead. A little bit of a cheese here as Yrel currently in the bottom lane and the rest of Team Tiny looking to potentially rotate down. But as they do see the cheese coming out onto the turret here thanks to Sylvanas, they're going to start rotating up. Wendy Woman was waiting for it, so no kills here going to come out. So good job guarding the rotation there, as the XP going to be a bit, the rotations rather, going to be in favor here for the side of Team Tiny to start off with. But a nice early tower here for the side of Randy Newman. And they are going to get Thrall into the bot lane in time to get those few minions there. So a good start to the match for them. They definitely, it's always nice to get a nice cheese there with the Sylvanas. We are going to have the, once again, the first time for the side of the Chromie here. So looking to get the stacks onto the queue there. As Maiev potentially getting ganked here by Montagai, but gonna let it go as she is able to just jump as soon as the stun is over there. And the turret being started first by Randy Newman, so good stuff for them so far. As we are going to have a Blink build potentially starting out here for Randy Newman, so look for him to be aggressive there. Very skill dependent build, so once again we'll have to see how the execution on the Maiev is, as right now we actually have Rolling Thunder for Thrall, so looking to get some more damage onto Mr. Downchild on the Yrel. Rotations continuing for both of these teams. We did see the turret coming out a good bit earlier for Randy Newman, which allowed them to get a little bit ahead here. But it was ultimately picked up as well by the side of Team Tiny. So both teams pretty even, just doing what you would normally expect to see in the early game, just rotating around And we're actually... Okay, sorry, that is Merc Queen. I thought that that was a different icon. Yeah, we do have the Merc Queen coming in for Sylvanas. Very powerful talent here, especially with the turrets, but also going to allow her to go ahead and solo the siege camps like this, which will help them to potentially get some off-lane pressure during this first objective here. But it looks like Team Tiny also going to be going to theirs a bit later, as actually we have a very early pickup, immediately capping the camp here for Randy Newman. Maybe looking to allow them to get the early point control here, but actually aware that potentially we are seeing Team Tiny on their camp. We're going to see the healing beacon picked up for the side of Randy Newman, completely uncontested, so a really nice pickup for them there. That basically serves as like a second fountain there, healing you up for 40% of your maximum health and 40% of your maximum mana over 10 seconds, so very, very powerful item if it isn't destroyed there. We're going to see Montague on the EATC getting pulled, but going to hold the power slide there to be able to get out, and also using the wall to prevent themselves from being pulled into the enemy team too much. That being said, as Lunar was pushing out the top lane here, we did see the point taken initially by Randy Newman. As level 7s are coming in for both sides, we're actually going to have the Rolling Thunder even for Thrall, so looking to brawl and fight a lot to run onto these backliners. As for the moment, Sylvanas is going to be clearing in the top lane, so Randy Newman going to back off, just trying to hold the point as long as they can. So we've got Pin Down coming in at level 4 for the Maiev. So lots of dings here, as we also have the Subdue. So lots of potential here if we have the effective clumping from Johanna and from Maiev here to really just shut down the team of Team Tiny. That being said, Yrel offers a lot of disruption, and Chromie in the backline is able to be pretty hard to catch. So we'll have to see, is Team Tiny able to execute on their picks and poke, or do we see the overall team fight here coming out in advantage of Randy Newman as they're up 2 turrets and the healing beacon to just the 1 turret. And we saw how much damage those did with the Merc Queen there, tearing through the health of Array and Leduds. Gonna try and poke them away, but now the point is controlled by Randy Newman, and they haven't used their taps yet. So even if they do get caught here, as Randy Newman goes in to grab the Chromie, who is going to be first blood here. Kill going out for the side of Randy Newman. And they're going to secure the first protector of the game. Looking good so far, as Chromie did just pick up their ultimate after that death, unfortunately, going to be the temporal loop. So again, looking to punish some overextensions here. Very consistent playstyle there from Team Tiny, trying to really punish the backliners for ever being alone. As right now, Rhonda Newman potentially getting caught out as well. A nice slide denied the Haunting Wave, but the follow-up was a little bit off, and the pull from Randy Newman, just to be safe, is going to save them. As the fountain did not quite fall here. It's at just a tiny bit of health. Protector started walking away, but then realizes, wait, we didn't get it yet. Gonna go ahead and grab it and then back off here, as we have currently Thrall pushing in the bot lane against Mr. Downchild here, actually winning out, so using the Rolling Thunder very effectively. As level 10s coming in for Randy Newman, as they have a full level lead here. We're going to see the Warden's Cage, the Wailing Arrow, Blessed Shield, Sundering to interrupt the Mosh Pit, as well as the Light Bomb for some additional aggression and lockdown inside of that Warden's Cage. Healing Beacon going to be picked up yet again, thanks to the talent tier advantage here for Randy Newman, doing a great job of controlling the map and the items, which is an essential skill for this map. Is Montague on the ETC going to be picked up? The Blessed Shield, excellent for setting up the pull there, and it is going to be a kill here in favor of Randy Newman. Great job there, pushing with the level 10s, knowing Blessed Shield is a pretty short cooldown. We can just blow it right now because there's no way they get 10. And then using Sylvanas' trait to push in, looking potentially for a fort here, and I think that they get this pretty easily, as Wendy doing a great job of zoning, watching where the enemy team is to make sure that they're not able to punish this. all in the meanwhile, Randy Newman has been actually winning out his lane against Mr. Downchild. Very impressive. Yrel, one of the strongest lane bullies that you see typically, but maybe thanks to this Maelstrom weapon and the Rolling Thunder there, able to chunk Yrel enough that she is not able to effectively play into him there, even with the Dauntless. Turret picked up for Randy Newman, as we did see level 10s come in for the side of Team Tiny here. We have the Ardent Defender, the Temporal Loop, which I mentioned earlier, the Shadow Stalk, the Leaping Strike, and actually the Stage Dive. So seeing the Sun Ring, saying, you know what, there's no way I'm getting a good mosh here. I'm just going to go for that global pressure and the jump onto the back line, try and slow down the aggressive team fight here from the side of Randy Newman. Attempted gank onto Thrall did not quite work out, but we are going to see now, as a result, the camp being picked up for the side of Randy Newman. Also going to be able to push out the camp of Team Tiny with that. But now Ledud's on the Lunara, even pushing in a little bit. Nature's Culling at level 4, going to enable Lunara to do really, really high structure and minion damage here against the side of Randy Newman. So using that well with the pushed in lane there. And now the gank coming onto Randy Newman. He's going to try and use the Wind Fury and the Sun Ring to escape. Montagai is right there. A nice route going to prevent the power slide and save Randy Newman's life. Well played there. And a bit of a beast step to show off there as level 13s come in for the side of Randy Newman. We do have the chain gang for Maiev, so looking to get those multiple tethers here. So really all about the multi-hits with this build so far. And Randy Newman getting the pull onto the Yrel and the Lunara there. Follow-up route onto the Yrel, but Montagai getting the power slide to save Mr. Downchild. Light Bomb comes out for Randy Newman, and Ardent Defender for Mr. Downchild. So an exchange of ults here. Ooh, but the collapse back onto Yrel. Not able to jump out in time. Really good catch there from Randy Newman on the Maiev. That's going to be a kill onto the offlaner just as this objective has come up. And it's going to be another healing beacon now in favor of the red team. That is a lot of sustain during these team fights over the objective. And it is going to get scouted out, but not going to be able to deny that there with the offlaner dead. So Team Tiny is just going to look for their own turret here. They have 2 to Randy Newman's 1 right now. We'll have to see what they end up going for here, as they are mostly in the bottom lane. And it looks like they're saying, hey, Randy Newman's all top. We can have the ETC push in with the stage dive here so that he can just global on up to the team fight here. We're going to see the arrow scouting it out, so there's no flank going to happen onto ETC. He's going to play it safe there. But we are going to see another turret picked up for Randy Newman, as they're going to give up the point at about 70%. Alright, so a 2 healing beacon lead for Randy Newman. That's quite the sizable lead, and even now just electing to push in as they know that members of Team Tiny are on the point. They're saying, hey, we'll just take this fort if you want to get the objective. We know that we'll win a team fight anyway, so we can just wait until it's at 98% and then step on. The response is there from Team Tiny, but that's going to be Randy Newman's opportunity to just walk onto the point with level 16s. We do have Will of the Forsaken, a very powerful escape tool there for Sylvanas, going to help deny the potential combo onto her from the Power Slide and the Lunar Flare from Tyrande. We do have Shifting Sands, so looking for the spell power and the consistent hits on the Chromie. But it's going to be an uncontested objective, which is not surprising as they were down items and were down in the talent tier here. But now, with this huge advantage that Randy Newman has, they're just going to push for a keep here. Not something you see frequently, but when you do have the confidence here, when you have the Sylvanas to shut down the towers, it is something that you can try to do. And they see the ETC on the side, so they're willing to just kind of let Randy Newman on the Thrall zone the ETC out and then push in with the Maiev and the Anduin inside of the vehicle there, trying to potentially get a keep, but it has been very effectively chunked down by the Chromie here. She's almost done with her baseline, or with her level 1 there. Temporal Loop coming out onto Johanna, and the Sundering even coming out, and it is going to be a secure keep, but nothing in the bottom lane going to fall for the side of Team Tiny, so maybe a saving grace there, as we are going to have Urel having gotten a good bit of damage there, and even getting the Fountain. Rhonda Newman barely getting out on the Sylvanas. And we did see both turrets as well as a healing beacon there, so the lots to keep is a lot, because you have to realize that during the next objective, that's going to be pushing with catapults, and they don't have anything to push back on the side of Team Tiny. But the objective itself is pretty in favor now of Team Tiny if they're able to make sure that Randy Newman doesn't get level 20s and get ahead here. And they're using their vision control to make sure that Randy Newman isn't able to get the healing beacon. And now they're going to try for it themselves even. Pull goes on to Mr. Downchild, but they're going to be able to use the Hand of Freedom to get out, as Laduds on the Lunara gets chunked. But does Randy Newman realize that Team Tiny is on this healing beacon? They do not, and that's going to be a healing beacon evening up the items now for these two teams. And as I was saying, the healing fountain is gone for Randy Newman. So right now, items are even, or well, it's a turret in favor of Randy Newman, but unless they look for an invade, which they might, it's going to be even items here. Chromie has finished her baseline, so she's going to have that extra clone there to help out in the team fights. Randy Newman taking so much poke from the Chromie there. The turret is going to get grabbed, though, for the side of Randy Newman, maybe. Camp gets capped, but it's going to be the Warden's Cage and the Light Bomb coming out for the side of Randy Newman. And that's going to be 4 kills and the turret stolen away. Only Johanna falling for Randy Newman. The healing beacon also was used there, but that was a great show of just what this Randy Newman comp can do, with all of the members of Team Tiny clumped up in that small area. The Wailing Arrow, the Warden's Cage, the Sundering, the Light Bomb, all connected onto so many members, and that huge amount of AoE just completely shut down the enemy team. And even with the healing beacon, Team Tiny not able to win that fight there. That does allow for Randy Newman to push in here. They did get the fort and the fountain in the bottom lane, as well as the front wall on this keep, so really nice from them so far. And now they're looking to potentially get level 20s for this objective, and there's no chance here for Team Tiny to get level 20s themselves, which means this is a pretty do or die situation for Team Tiny. They need to look for a pick or something big here. And it looks like they're going to do just that. Montagai on the ETC rotating towards the siege camp. Gonna anchor in the bush. He definitely knows, but not going to go for the fight. Ooh, looks like it's going to be onto Randy Newman here. The temporal loop followed by the stage dive onto him. He's so low, is going to fall ultimately, but did Team Tiny overstay? Mr. Downchild gets pulled in, but is going to be able to get away, so that pick did work out in favor of Team Tiny. And that's going to mean they can finally start channeling onto this objective for themselves. But they did commit a lot to that, and you do have to realize they do have this top lane pushing against them. Catapult and a siege camp here with another catapult coming in. And Thrall should be up in time to contest this. So definitely a very important pick there for the side of Team Tiny, but will it be enough is the question. Currently a level away from 20, and it looks like Randy Newman might just be looking to pressure up further into these lanes, as they know that Team Tiny is going to be in that bottom lane. Gonna push in the wave here and start rotating down. Thrall will be up in about 10 seconds here, and it looks like Randy Newman is going to have to step on to this point before Thrall gets here. They are up level 20s, which is very big, as well as currently up 1 ult. Shadowstalk down for the moment. They're going to deploy 1 turret immediately here. Randy Newman looking to zone out the enemy team as Mr. Downchild is leaping in. Level 20s, as I said, in for Randy Newman. We have the reset with the Orb of Vengeance for the side of Randy Newman, as well as the Deafening Blast, the Radiating Faith again, the Wind Rush for Thrall, and the Glyph of Faith for Anduin. So some very powerful level 20s. And this is going to be another objective for Randy Newman, as Team Tiny without 20s is not willing to fight for it. Whew. Alright, this is a Protector up level 20s for about half a level more, pushing into a keep which is already damaged with a Sylvanas. It might not seem likely that it ends, but Team Tiny needs to play very, very carefully here, because their life is hanging in the balance. With 1 or 2 kills, or even if this Protector is just allowed to get far enough with enough health, this could be very bad, as Randy Newman caught out a little bit, going very aggressive in the front line. Not going to jump into the Triglav there, looking for the Healing Beacon, and is actually going to fall here. A bit of a misplay there. I think he definitely had the opportunity to get into that beacon to save himself. And now, despite, as I mentioned, this being a very high health Protector, it is going to be another kill here for onto the Anduin, but Yrel falling as well. And Randy Newman, they kind of wander around a little bit, but they're saying enough is enough. We're going to try and end this game. And they're focusing onto the core without Sylvanas currently. Triglav falling very low, but the core is also taking substantial damage, down to 50%, as the Triglav is going to fall 46% now, 45, 40. Sylvanas gets blown up. Randy Newman on the Maiev getting very low. Randy Newman also low. Core down to 18%, 16, 15%, and that's going to be a team wipe. What can Team Tiny do with this? Their core is very low, but while that was a risky core call for Randy Newman, and I'm certain they knew it, all of their forts are up, so it's not possible for Team Tiny to get the counter push effect far enough to end, especially because Thrall and Anduin's death timers were so low. So not as bad a play there maybe as I thought, but definitely a very scary point here for the side of Team Tiny. They do have very powerful level 20s. They have the Seraphim for Yrel, they have the Piercing Sands for Chromie, Shooting Star for Tyrande, the Storm Shield for ETC, and the Intensifying Toxin for Lunara. They have so much damage, so much protection for their team, so much CC, that I feel like their team fight is it's twice as strong as it was before 20. But with a core that low, you constantly have to be aware that Randy Newman can backdoor if they get 1 kill. Even if they don't get a kill, if they're able to rotate around the side of Team Tiny, or if they're able to get lanes pushed in, that'll be the game. And with the ETC getting caught out by Randy Newman, too slow to pick up the Healing Beacon, going to get chain CC'd, and Randy Newman has the kill onto the front line here. They're going to look to end this game. 15% plus shield on the core, but a Healing Beacon is here for Randy Newman. They're up a member. Going to drop the Healing Beacon and just immediately focus onto the core. I don't think there's any saving this. This is it. Game 3 going to Randy Newman. GG. Whew. Excellent play there from the side of Randy Newman on the second map. Looking at kills, they didn't seem too far ahead, and that's because there were some very good picks, plus of course the core wipe for the side of Team Tiny. But in the end, not enough, as the early game was dominant for the side of Randy Newman. So game going out to them, and pretty well deserved. All right. gonna see if we can get a member of Randy Newman for an interview here, as they were the winning team for that match. But yeah, looking at the stats, Thrall putting out a surprisingly high amount of damage there, but Sylvanas, no joke either, of course. Chromie top damage in the game, but not enough to secure it for their team. Alright, looks like we're going to potentially get Randy Newman here for our interview. Any moment now. In theory, maybe.
Well, hello. Sorry, I lied. It's not Newman. He was AFK, so you get me. So unfortunately, you get me. Sorry about that. This is regular Randy Newman, just boring Randy Newman.
That's all right. I'm always happy to have one of the Newmans in the interview with me. How are you feeling after that intense series, to say the least?
I was feeling pretty good. That was a lot of fun. We had fun this week, and I don't know if anyone watched. We played last night too in a really fun series. So kind of similarly close games, but we got the win this time, and we got the L given to us by Roll One Esports last night in a close game. So it's nice to come out on top this time.
Yeah, I did see that. I was happy to see we saw a bit of the comp from Shrines last night coming out again today, but not working out quite as well without the Samuro there.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when you don't pick a strong solo laner against a Deathwing and a Leoric. You kind of feel it after a while.
Yeah.
We learned our lesson, so hopefully we won't do it again.
All right. Well, let's go game by game here. So looking at game one, just from the draft, you came out with the Butcher pick before you even saw the Vikings. Was that something where you were anticipating it? Had you done some research, or what was behind that pick?
We like Butcher. This is another Randy that plays with us in NGS, but not in Heroes Lounge. Butcher's his most played character, so we enjoyed playing with him. So we just kind of forced it in that game. We were just like, we're gonna play Butcher, and it looked good with their first couple picks with the Li Ming and the Zeratul. So we were like, we'll give it a whirl, see what happens.
Definitely, and it ended up working out. I think we saw the early game went a little bit to the enemy team, but with the amount of scaling that you had on your side, I was always kind of feeling the late game would pull out for you guys, and it did.
Yeah, I felt bad at the beginning. They did really good about doing what they should have been doing and what they were probably planning on and catching those rotations. And shout out to the Vikings player. They did a really good job at frustrating us for the first half of the game, providing 0 stacks to Butcher and getting a Kira kill behind the wall. That was pretty funny. We were laughing at that Kira whiplash around the wall to try and get a Viking and ended up dying. So if you missed it, it was pretty funny.
I think I did catch the end of that kill, but yeah.
Well, perfect. Yeah, it was worth it.
All right, so looking at game two, like you said, draft didn't quite go your way. So would you say that was just all down to the solo lane there, or what were your thoughts at the end of that game?
No, not entirely. They definitely picked a really good team, and they outdrafted us pretty hard. We didn't really have much of a answer for their triple big men they had. It was just too much for us to handle, and I feel like they did a good job, and we just kind of lost track of the solo lane. I think trying to pick the Alarak and maybe should have gone Thrall, but we like to play Alarak, so we're not too upset about it. We had fun still.
Of course. All right, so down to the last game, you guys pulled ahead pretty early and kind of kept it the whole time. The one time where it looked like maybe something might start turning around was that third protector push where we saw the pick onto Thrall, and then you kind of hovered around before trying for the core and ultimately dying. So what was going on through comms at that point? What were your thoughts?
That's a good question. I don't know. It was a lot of it was a lot of chaos. The ETC stage dive in the Euro kind of like made us make a decision, and we didn't really make it quickly and well. They kind of like split our minds, and so we made the late core call and just decided to die on core and see what we could get, just because we were kind of SOL anyway. Like if we couldn't retreat, they could have chased us forever. So we ended up just deciding to send back Sylvanas and just try and end or get as close as we could. We kind of biffed the call there on their dive.
Well, it all ended up turning out in your favor, so excellently played tonight. I definitely had a lot of fun. Glad you guys did as well. Before I let you go, any shout outs that you want to give for this series?
Oh yeah, for sure. Shout out to Team Tiny. That was a really fun series. And as always, people at Heroes Lounge throwing this thing together. We enjoy doing these games and showing our stuff in Division 3. And shouts out to you as well, Lazy Hydra. Always appreciate the cast and always like to watch later, like I've said. So appreciate the work and taking time out of your day.
Sure thing. Always glad to have you guys. Have a good one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, see you around.
All right, that is going to be it for the evening. Excellent series there. Both of the teams played super well. Shoutouts to Team Tiny. They did fall out as the losers this time, but like you heard Randy himself say there, they played excellently. Definitely showing some excellent rotations, excellent map awareness, as well as understanding of the draft, especially in Game 2. Loved seeing what really felt like a draft win there. So GG's to both these teams. That's going to be all for me for the evening. I'm going to go ahead and end stream, see if I can find someone to rate us on over to. But thank you everyone who came out. I will catch you all another time. See you later.